Hey, do you teach yoga? Have you ever trained to lead yoga classes, to be a yoga therapist? Have you ever owned a yoga studio? Maybe even just wondered what it was like for the women and men up there in front of the room on their mats, leading you through endless Surya Namaskars, down dogs, and pranayamas galore? Well, these are their stories, and mine. I'm Rebecca Sebastian, a 20-year yoga teacher, 10-year yoga therapist, yoga studio owner, and co-founder of a yoga-focused nonprofit. I've done a lot in the yoga world over the last 20 years, pretty much everything except had a water cooler. You know, a place to share stories, talk about struggles, successes, and find other people who do the same thing that I do. Welcome to Working in Yoga, a podcast and substitute water cooler for yoga folks to connect and build community, to share our unique profession, our challenges, and our journeys with the world.
Hey friends, welcome to Working in Yoga. I have to tell you, there are very few people in this industry that I can talk about both a passion for community service and data in one conversation. And my guest this week, Michael J., is one of those rare gems. I asked Michael to come on the podcast this week to talk about what he sees as the current and future thinking trends in the yoga studio space. Now, sometimes I think we have a hard time connecting yoga studios with the other yoga professionals in our industry. And honestly, I certainly felt that way when I owned a studio. Somehow, when we chose to become business owners in the yoga space, we experienced a bit of disembodiment from others around us. Now, if I'm honest, I don't think this is just yoga studio owners. I feel strongly that this is true of all business owners. Once you become a business owner, we somehow have become the man, so to speak. So people often forget that we're real human beings. And I think this is something that Michael J. does in spades when he speaks about yoga studio owners on his podcast and as a guest here. He reminds us all of our humanity, even while owning and running successful businesses. I know you're going to love what he has to say about the state of things and the future he is hoping for yoga studio owners. Now, before we get into that, I want to extend a big moment of gratitude to Offering Tree, sponsor for the podcast. Offering Tree software has long been that extra person working for yoga pros, and there's definitely no stretch required to use them and take advantage of their software. Listeners of this podcast get a discount for Offering Tree software, so head to the show notes and snag that if you're interested. And if you would please go subscribe to the podcast from wherever your earballs are listening from, I would be ever so appreciative. This helps the podcast get shown to more folks like you and me, which only makes our community better. And finally, if you've been wondering what I've been working on, keep your ears peeled for a whole episode about the new project I've got coming straight for you, the yoga professionals. So make sure you're checking in with the podcast weekly, that you subscribe to my newsletter, because that announcement officially is probably coming sooner than I'm really ready for. Now, let's drop into a chat pretty much mid-conversation with my fave, Michael J. Okay, hey friends, welcome to Working in Yoga. This is a super fast intro because Michael J. is on the podcast today talking yoga studios. We were in the middle of the conversation and Michael goes, we should really be recording this. Which is
we
the story.
Hi Rebecca. We just went down a rabbit hole of we could have been recording this and making a whole episode out of this conversation. But hi.
Hi. Okay.
You've been on my podcast. I haven't been on yours. So it's so nice.
So you're coming to tell us about yoga studios, the state of yoga studios now here, 2025, the year of our Lord, 2025, the end of 2025. We're recording in September. We got on ClassPass right away. But before we get into it, Michael J., welcome to the podcast and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Michael J., known as shamelessly yoga biz champ everywhere. My background, I'm 23-year yoga teacher. Came through the Ashtanga door many years ago, no interest in teaching, and I had too many questions for my teacher, and she says, Michael, take the damn teacher training. And so shut up asking me all these questions, stop asking me to speak in Sanskrit. So I took the teacher training with a fear of public speaking. literally just to deepen my knowledge. I was a designer at the time. That was my background. And then I started designing her websites when websites first kind of started. And I did that for trade of classes, took the teacher training,
Sure.
realized I was kind of good at this. And she took me on as an apprentice for a whole year, which, apprenticeships you don't really hear about them in our industry anymore.
No.
But I got to say that brutal year made me a phenomenal teacher.
Yeah.
And I mean, Michael, you're saying this word too much. Mike, I would get full reports after my classes. I've still got them. They were brutal, brutal.
Oh,
But, it taught me to look and see the room, which is a good teacher, right? And
yeah.
so I think that has lasted me for many years. And um, she ended up closing, and an opportunity happened in my town, which is on the outskirts of Vancouver, Canada, and in a small town, and um, people needed a place for yoga, and so her space, they were like, well, it's one big space, we kind of can't rent it. Are you interested in it? So I took it on, rehired the original teachers that were my friends, and my marketing background, like I knew how to buy a full page newspaper ad and go boom, and we opened up with a bang. And I had the studio, so we outgrew it in 6 months and moved into a beautiful 100-year-old heritage building next door. Open space yoga, and it is now. It's on its. I sold it over 8 years ago. Um, it's on its third owner, which is and it's 22, almost 23 years in. And so to me, that's a legacy.
Yeah.
It's still there, and some of the original teachers are still there. And yeah, we survived COVID through that. I taught there during that period. And yeah, so after I sold the studio, there was this natural moment of getting certified as a business consultant in the fitness world. It was Mind Body at the time, which was the
Yeah.
kind of only certifying body where a lot of us OGs started. And I started there, and a lot of my counterparts have gone into boutique fitness so that they can kind of
Sure.
cover everybody, Pilates. And, I definitely know that's a business mood move. But I was like, I don't know Pilates. I don't know Legree. I speak yoga language. I've been a teacher.
Yeah.
I've hired teachers. I've mentored teachers. I know how to build a community. And so it was just a natural fit for me to just be going, okay, no, I'm not, I'm yoga only. And I do two things now. I have two coaching packages, and that's start a studio, which is my favorite thing to do, helping studios open the right way. Um, and get all the systems in place that just save you learning the scrappy
Oh,
way,
yes.
fast tracking. And then the other is my grow studio, which is normally an existing studio, which I think we'll be talking about today. It's an existing studio that is either at the stage of shit, I don't know what I'm doing, I need help. I'm a passionate yoga teacher, but I don't know how to do marketing and business and all of that stuff. Or it's somebody that's done it really well and they want to put the systems in place to give them freedom, which
Ooh.
as a studio owner is really
Yeah.
important, right? That you can be in the weeds all the time,
Yeah.
or you can be sitting back in control with a whole year planned out, and making decisions based on data. um, yeah, and so, and I'll even say I think my niche is a little bit more. I don't know. You asked me to talk about the state of the studio, and I don't know if I can talk about the state of the yoga studio or the industry. I think I can talk about the state of the community yoga studio,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
think I think is my jam. I don't think I'm not. I've helped studios grow to multi-location and larger and what have you, but I don't think they're necessarily my client. If I was to have an ideal client, I had a community studio, and I really thrive on helping community studios.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what I do on my podcast, which you have been on. We've talked about great conversations about, yes, we should pay teachers and have them on salary and things like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, and I'm those conversations I'm having with my studio owners now. So yeah, on my podcast, Yoga Biz Champ, which is having experts like you and just real life jamming about our industry. So again, I don't know if I can talk about the state of the studio, but I can talk about what I'm seeing and what you're,
That's what I want to
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Yeah. So, like, as we shift forward, and like you mentioned data before I quickly hit record, we'd been talking, like, data is one of those new things in my brain. I'm like, I really want to talk about how we make decisions individually, like,
yeah,
and then as an industry. And I'm curious, like, what you're seeing in those community studios, because that was also my studio that I just sold. Like,
yeah,
it's a sweet space. There's something so lovely and charming that happens. It's so like there's so much intimacy and connection in those spaces, and I just love it. Like, what are you
yeah.
seeing in those spaces now?
Well, I'm seeing, I mean, the industry's it's changed, it
Yeah.
used to be, a little background on where I've come from is that it used to be the small studios. And I'm actually having a conversation with somebody today that those studios at the time had a point of view. And so
Yes.
what I mean, I came through the Ashtanga door. So if you practice Ashtanga, you went to this studio. If you practice a different type of
Yep. The Iyengar studio somewhere
you went
else.
to the
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but I loved it when this person said studios had a point of view. And then what happened was the corporate studios opened in the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
And so my training, my main training was under my teacher, Joy Irwin, who was the teacher of teachers here in Vancouver, BC. And we trained in her crappy strata basement with dirty props. And like
Yeah.
it was not a pretty place, but we paid for a season.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like back then,
Yeah.
we paid for a season. So then the franchise kind of or big studio the investors opened up studios, and especially here in Vancouver, I can speak to that. And then what happened was they opened up these all you can eat memberships, right? Unlimited.
Yeah.
So they started that. That was not in existence. We were punch passes and pay up front
Yep. Yep.
before that happened. So then the studio changed, and the little studio had to go, oh, we've got to compete on this. So then the industry has now changed to, we offer unlimited yoga, unlimited plus a
Yes.
Pilates, plus your, and so this community studio has tried to be an all for everybody kind of thing. And I think
Yep.
that worked for a while. I think that worked for a
Yeah.
while. But I feel now the market is saturated. Here in Vancouver, I don't know how the studios are doing it. I truly don't. They're all on Class Pass. They all have mega high rents. And that's
Yeah.
I have some studios that are paying $1,000, $1,500 for rent. I would think I was probably $2,500 at the time. Like you
Yeah.
can build a profitable studio if you can keep your expenses in line. But these
Yep.
studios that are paying $14,000 a month plus payroll,
Oh.
right? And they're
Oh.
on Class Pass getting $7, $5 a person, kind of and competing
Yeah.
on that market. So I feel like that's what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing is now there needs to be a return back to that point of view. What's your, you can offer multiple things, but what are you? Are you therapeutic? Are you
Yeah.
for, one of my best clients is we are 40 plus, we are strength, yoga strong NC. She's amazing. And she's killing it. Like
Yeah.
she's just gone, this is my niche. I don't speak, I'm not here for the young fit flexies. That's not my niche. I'm
Yeah.
here for this audience, and this is my why.
Yeah, it makes everything so much easier when you've got that too, because you know whom you're speaking to in your marketing, you know what to bring into the studio, because like as a business owner, 1,000 people will have like donate to this charity cause or can I rent your space for whatever and whatever. And if you have a clear parameter, this is who I'm for,
Yeah.
then it's so easy just to be like, no, my people aren't going to love your dog charity, so I'm not going to do that. Oh no, I'm not going to ballroom dancing classes here because that's not my people.
Yeah.
Um, it makes a lot of like the nitty gritty of your day to day so much easier when you know that.
What was your point of view with your studio?
Ooh, great question. So it was for women between the ages of 30 and 55. They were travelers, they were highly educated, they were type A, they were motivated, and they needed to rest. I
Wow, sounds like
never
you know your audience.
Yeah, like I was pretty Michael, I was pretty obsessive with it actually. Like I had the whole like I knew what was on her bedside table. I knew that she had a passport that was up to date. I knew what she drank at the coffee shop. Like I knew it, and in fact, I knew my client so well that I don't know if I told you this on your podcast, but I knew what car she drove. So I would run ads to people in my local area who drove Subarus and
No
three
way.
quarters I did, I swear to you. like like I would say 70% of my studio, like my clients drove Subarus. I ran
Did you
ads
have a lesbian
directly.
audience?
No, actually I
No
don't.
offense to anybody. I'm gay,
No,
everybody, so no offense.
I also drive
There is a
Subarus.
running
But
joke about
yeah,
Subaru.
yeah.
Sorry.
But it was like it was very funny that it just like she was active, she was hiking, she was traveling. She It was like those women who were accomplished, they had
Yeah,
jobs, they were good at their work, and they needed somebody essentially to tell them to lay the fuck down. And
yeah,
so that was my studio. And so I knew exactly who I was speaking to. So it would just be like, oh, I also know she eats dinner here. So sometimes during those months,
right.
I'd run ads to people who were like her, who followed, restaurants, local
Yep.
restaurants and stuff like that. Yeah. The more you know, the easier that is.
Well, honestly, and that was one of my other points that I was going to touch on was marketing. And I think what you just said there is you know that person so well that you can in your marketing wherever it is,
Yeah.
whether it's talking to social media or whether it's a poster or a web page, it's like you're talking to that person. So I think the marketing, I feel like I'm so over with the 30 days for $30, $49 for 2 weeks unlimited, right?
Yeah.
I think we have to stop talking about price as well. Well, first of all, stop giving away stuff for free. Please, everybody, stop giving away stuff for free,
Yeah.
right? But we have to stop talking about price in our marketing, and we have to start talking about how people feel.
Yeah.
What's the result that you get from that? So for you, you could easily, that person so well, so you are able to say, hey, I know that you are up at night worrying through your brain, you are this type of person, and I know you need the opposite of that because I'm
Yeah.
that person, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if you speak to that person, you're talking their language.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of studios have to stop. Sure, post your 30 days for 30, whatever your intro offer. Sure, do
Everything
those
else. Yeah.
obligatory things, but it's not going to get you the results as,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna give the example of people will pay for a solution to a problem,
Hmm.
right? I always say that, like, people will pay for a solution to a problem. Don't forget that, and have value for your services and what you're offering to that person's life.
Yep.
And I'll give myself as an example. I have a personal trainer that I love. Like, he's amazing. Like, he just is such a good fit for me that the words that he uses sit in my brain all week. So from a mental health point of view, like, that sits with me all week. I think about little things he said. And then from a physical point of view, like, he knows how my body works, he knows my injuries, he works around them, strengthens around them, and I leave feeling amazing.
Yep.
So my mental health and my physical health needs are met in that 1 hour session. I'll pay anything for that. I will
Totally.
find I will find the money for that. And if you don't think people will, like, look at CrossFit. I have friends that are paying $250 for a membership. They go every single day. They're obsessed with it,
Yeah.
but they have community with other nuts around them. They're
We love your
obsessive about
CrossFit, but
their honestly
honestly,
about their I mean, honestly, they're obsessive about their food and their
yeah,
regiments, and they're getting up, but the community there of
yeah,
like-minded people is what holds them there.
yeah,
And they'll pay $250 a month for that. Legree Pilates, $40 drop-ins, no problem.
yep.
Nobody's even questioning that. But in yoga,
Mm.
free week, free
Oh,
drop in, right? But so I feel like in your marketing, know who your audience is and talk about what they're gonna feel.
Okay, can I ask you this question? And this came up yesterday. Actually, I had a friend. She was a member of a yoga and fitness studio in a town about 3 hours away from here. And she and I had lunch. She was like, she's also in business. And so she and I sat down. She's like, I just need to ask you something about your industry. And she proceeds to pull up the website of this studio that she had just quit being a member of. And it was so not only giving things away for free, she had a tiered pass system. Like, so if you can't pay this amount, you pay this amount. If you can't pay this amount, you pay this
It's
amount.
too complicated.
Yeah.
Uh,
And she had a $25 a month unlimited pass for people who can't afford to pay for services. And what was happening was people were picking up, they were saying,
yeah, yeah,
oh, I'm like financially strapped, so I'm going to pick up this $25 a month thing. And then those people were taking all the spots in the good classes, and the
yeah,
people who were paying $100 a month couldn't
yeah.
get into their classes. And I was like, oh, I have so much to say about this idea. We're supposed to be cheap because we're being of service to people. And I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
What was the
I,
question again?
I know. The analogy I used was drowning people can't save anyone. You just have two drowning people. And I was like,
Yeah,
you have to make money. You have to make money.
you have to make money, and we're in the business where we transform people's lives.
Yeah.
We really do, like, and we've put a lot of time and effort into our skill and our art, and that has some worth. We have to feel self-worth. Even as studio owners, yoga teachers, there have to be some self-worth around that. And
Yeah.
so it's okay to say my time and energy is worth this. And my
Yeah.
studio has got these bills that need paying,
Yeah.
right? And and it's okay to build a profitable business that affords us a life where we can do other good things in the community. So that $25 pass. I don't care about that, but I wouldn't put it front facing that everybody gets to choose that. First of all, your
Be
pricing
simple.
structure
Yeah.
needs to be damn easy. Like, and if you've got an
Yeah.
intro offer, your intro offer needs to be a no-brainer to get into the studio. But it doesn't mean that you can't have offers in your back pocket for people that deserve them or need them or that you can barter. So I have no problem with that $25 for the person that can't afford it. But I wouldn't put it front facing. It would be in my back
Yeah.
pocket for me to be able to offer to somebody.
I also think there's other ways to be of service as a business owner. Like you
Yeah.
saying that you are just going to make it cheap for some people, I think then creates resentment in your community
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
I
yeah.
also
Well, it's like
think,
the class pass,
yeah,
back to class pass.
yeah,
It's like, you've got people paying $169 for a membership, and then you've got these class passes, for $5 showing up at the last minute, not filling the forms, that like all those
yep,
kind of things that go along with it. Nothing against those class passes. I mean, it's just, but it's going to eat into your membership if you're, but it also will, you know, kind of cause some resentment of two different order. Like,
yeah,
you're my home. I'm paying you this monthly. I need to have value of that, but you're devaluing it by
yeah.
having this cheap offer to these other people that don't really care about community.
I think that the analogy I always used was you can get groceries from a lot of places. You can get groceries from Dollar General, you can get groceries from Walmart, you can get groceries from Target, you can get groceries from Whole Foods or
Yeah,
Erewhon.
yeah,
Like so if you're charging Dollar General prices but expecting to provide Erewhon service, that's just a
yeah,
mismatch.
yeah,
Like if you're going to cycle people through your space, have a place that fits 60 mats, don't worry too much about the
yeah,
experience, and
yeah,
let people pay $10 a class, and who cares? You can put, $10 a class. If you feel that you've still made
yeah.
$600 on one class, it's great. But for those of
But
us who
that comes
had,
with capacity. When you said
yeah,
60 spots, like you can do that if
yeah,
you've got capacity,
yeah,
which most
Walmart's
studios
huge.
and community studios were looking at,
12
11 to
mats.
11 to 20 kind of
Yeah,
max kind of
yeah.
space. Yeah.
That means
So
your Whole
so that's
Foods.
real estate. So that's
Yeah.
so those mats, hear this, folks. Those mats are real estate in your
Yeah.
studio, right? You have capacity to um, have people, maybe 20 people enjoying your customer journey. And that's the other thing I think in the community studio space is, and not a lot of the community studios are paying enough attention to the customer journey, not
Oh
the
my
teachers,
gosh,
not the
yes.
teachers. It's not about the teachers.com. It's not about the owners.com. In my both of my packages, I have a team training where it's about the customer experience.
Yep.
And the customer experience starts on the website. And then that expectation
Yep.
has to be on the greeting. You and I have talked about this before. And then that experience has to come into having the best class experience and then the best post class experience, right? And so that's where a lot of studios are missing the mark, is not focusing on the quality of the customer experience.
Yeah, I was obsessed again. Like, I think that especially in the beginning of a business, like it's worth it to become obsessed with your customer for a minute. Like, you
Yeah,
just really, like I said, I got to know my ideal customer really well. The first time that person, because the person who was my ideal customer wasn't necessarily me, but it was someone who was sort of similar to me in some ways. And the first time that person walked in the door, I was so happy to see her. I was like, oh my, it's you.
you're my avatar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, this is a stranger who I've never met. She's like, hey, how's it going? But when you do that and you get obsessive about their experiences and it becomes like your turnover is lower, your retention
Yeah,
rate is ridiculous. I mean, the only reason people ever left my studio is because they moved.
yeah,
Like, then some of it becomes so much easier. Like the fight to keep clients is a much easier because you've built something for them and they know
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, and you have to offer the best class. I mean, ultimately,
Yeah.
like, the magic formula for a class is great teacher, great time slot, great style. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of, you got to get those three things kind of,
Yeah.
if we can get that formula worked out. And if we can't get that formula, we've got to look at what's the broken piece. Is it fixable? Is it the time? Is it the style? Because I know styles changed. When I had my studio for 13 years, I know that one class that used to have 30 people in it at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, halfway in, all of a sudden was getting 8 people. Like, things change, like
Yeah.
sometimes for no reason,
Yeah.
right? But you have to analyze those three things. And are they fixable or are they not,
Yeah.
including the teacher?
So do you see now studios that are starting up who are like coming
Yeah,
to you
yeah,
with your new
yeah,
studio package?
yeah, yeah.
Are they more those community studios or are you still seeing those, 60 mat studios that we saw in like the mid 2010s?
I'm 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 seeing, and I'm working with and have worked with both ends of the spectrum. And
Okay.
so I have opened up hot yoga studios that put $350,000 into custom build outs,
Yeah.
like heating,
The whole
mat,
thing. Yeah.
floor, like the whole thing. You got to work really hard to pay that back, folks, right?
Yeah.
So they
That
they
makes me
they those
sweat.
people have a vision that they can keep up on the franchise level
Yeah.
of, right? So again, I think if you're going to do that, you've got to have a really different point of view,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Really do. Like, how do you? But on the other end of the spectrum, I'm seeing studios open up, like in real true towns. Like, I have one studio. She was
Yeah.
on my podcast too. I've worked with her for over 2 years, and year over year, we were seeing 60% growth, and
Hmm.
that's really just from her getting focused on the customer,
Yeah.
right? And learning marketing skills. And so we gotta learn these things because the community studio has franchise level tools. And I'm so tired of hearing send me money by this way or transfer money this way. Like, it's like, just invest in a booking platform,
Yes.
that runs your business, that gives you reports, that
Yes.
works like you're an employee. Like, we can't be running it like these rinky dinky things anymore. But we have these amazing tools now, like with software that include, as a marketing person, it's like
Yeah.
my two worlds have collided, right? And
Yeah.
it's like the community studio didn't talk about marketing before. Like, we just
Yeah.
didn't talk. We're just scrappy. The ones that did it well were just scrappier,
Yeah.
and we're naturally good at marketing and creating connections in the community. But we have automations now that, if you use properly, meaning you're not sell, you're not
Yeah.
$30 for this and what have you, and you're using those to enhance the customer journey,
Yeah.
that's where the magic happens.
I think the cool thing, so when I started, we didn't have nearly as many software options, honestly. Like shout out to Offering Tree that sponsors both of our podcasts. We love
Yeah.
them. I think they're an
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing software, especially if you're a solo human, like out there starting like your first venture. Like Offering Tree is so
Yeah.
solid. I also think they're really solid for yoga therapists who are like individual business
Well, and
owners
also
too.
studio owners on their
Yeah.
studio plan get group coaching, which I did this morning. They get free group coaching
Ooh.
with me twice a month.
Did I know? It's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, we love you, Offering Tree. But
Yeah,
then
they are great.
also there are other softwares for like really robust big spaces, and you have so many options now of what you can do. Whereas, I mean, I remember starting and you really had, just a couple different besides, your stand that, there's the big behemoth in the market, Mind Body, that's,
Yeah.
and then there was a few others at the time. And now there's so many
There
options.
are a lot of options out there right now, and the tools are exciting,
Yeah.
and they're getting even more exciting. I mean, some of them are, and I'm seeing everybody's going to adopt this soon, but having Facebook meta advertising built into the programs now, so that
A la
you,
moments.
yeah, but I mean, to me, that's really amazing that you can
Yeah.
now effectively market $5 a day to people that have not been in your studio for the past 3 months. Like,
Yeah.
literally, you can get your data down to that minute a detail. And then
Yeah.
that ad, like you said, if you know your audience, you can speak to them and be like, hey, miss your
Yeah.
yoga, we miss you.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, get your ass back to class.
Yeah, I mean, it
Mm,
really is like
yeah.
if you choose your software skillfully, it's like another person that's working for you. And
100%. It should
it's
it should
so good.
make you money. It should make you money. First of
Yeah.
all, every single yoga business should be accepting credit cards now. Don't worry about the fees. That's part of business. And
Insane.
there are
Insane.
write-offs. Okay. So, like, can we just get that one out the way? And
Oh,
booking made easy. And then to me, it's all about automations, your email automation
yeah.
flow and your SMS automation flow.
Oh, so
Yeah.
critical. Text the people. Please
Yeah.
text the people.
And
They want to hear from you.
Yeah, and can I say that Offering Tree, if you're listening, I bugged Offering Tree for so long. I cannot send anybody to you till you've got SMS. I cannot send anyone till you've got SMS. Like, I was on them,
Yeah.
and they've got SMS now, and it's
Yeah.
like it's. But not everybody's SMS. You have to look at where their love language is. Where is their
Yeah.
communication? Right. I know the things I'm interested in. I accept SMS. Things I'm not. I don't,
Yeah. It is a
and that's
game
okay.
changer. The texting is a game changer. The texting even for like the people who are signing up for your classes who need that extra reminder, hey, your class starts in an hour,
100%.
game changer.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. For me in my business with booking, to have
yeah,
that SMS go out and 30 minutes before, hey, my time's valuable,
yeah,
show
reminder.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's really, I mean, I do think you're right. Like that is something that has changed. And honestly, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but thanks COVID. COVID really
yeah.
allowed a
Fast
lot of
tracked it
people.
all.
Yeah,
Fast tracked it all.
yeah.
Yeah. It
And
was going to
so,
happen all, and online teaching and all of
yeah,
that stuff. It fast tracked it all. I
yeah.
was so ready for that.
Same,
I
same.
was because I had the coaching business set up, and I was still teaching at the studio that I sold. So when COVID happened, I had like lights, camera, action. I had the cameras.
Yeah.
I actually had my iMac on a Lazy Susan so that I could turn it
Oh,
around, flick the lights on,
yeah.
put the microphone on. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so ready for that period, and I'm kind of glad not that that happened, but that it did fast track the industry,
Yeah.
and
Same.
it did help a lot of independent yoga teachers become business people.
It really did. And like something that I noticed that I'm seeing people still sustain. I don't know if you're seeing this too, but especially if you had clients, if you had students that were your students pre-COVID and then moved,
Yeah,
all of a sudden we all got to reconnect because they could take your
yeah,
class again online. And
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, that's cool as hell. Like that you
I
get to see
honestly,
those people.
I don't do it right now, but I loved online teaching. It
Yeah,
was a new skill set to learn.
it
Again,
is.
for me, a lot of people just did, I'm going to do a flow on my mat. I was like, no, I
Yeah.
was at my Mac. I was
Yeah.
looking at all the squares and I'm like, Jane, lift your right knee. Like I gave them the whole same experience. Again, teaching is about seeing.
Yeah.
And but I was so into it that I was actually at Mind Body Bold conference. I was on a panel there talking about creating community online. But
Yeah.
I had in my core class, we had people doing, I had an 80-year-old do an 8-minute plank challenge that we built up over COVID. Like we built up, and then for her 80th
Cool.
birthday, and everybody on the call, like they were all paying for a yoga class. For 8 minutes, they sat there and just cheered on their friend not doing yoga.
Love it.
Yeah, it was super cool. It's amazing what you can do online too. But
Yeah. And that I think is something it's been interesting in the last couple years since we've really, we've been able to be back in person after COVID, that you've seen some businesses really embrace like that hybrid model. And like I love that. That's super cool to see. And then other businesses have been like, absolutely not. That's not
yeah,
for me.
I think it's interesting. I feel right after COVID, it took some area here in Canada, it took a long time for people to get feeling comfortable to go into a deep breathing space again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think it took a long time here, I think. And so people hung on online. And I think the problem with that though, it did start affecting in-person classes. And so if we have a space, we need to fill people on those mats. And
Yeah.
so what I found was with some of the studios I work with, we stopped the camera being the centerpiece where we communicated with those people, and we put the camera further back and higher
Yep.
away so that it just became a perk to
Yep.
membership, as opposed to, and then when those people are on camera, they're missing out on the adjustments or the personal touch or
Yeah.
the personal communication and community. So I feel like um that I saw that kind of change happen. So it's not
Yeah.
so much that you're teaching on the studio's not teaching online, but it's an extra perk if you can't make it to class.
Can we talk about nostalgia for a minute? Because I
Yeah.
think that here in 2025, I'm also seeing people have deep nostalgia for us in 2015. And it makes me want to shake them a little bit. And I love that we're going to talk about, there were the stars of the show way back 10 years ago, and we want them all to come back. And we want us all to work how we did in 2012, where we're shoving money into tissue boxes. And we were at somebody's gritty basement, or in my case, the place I went to was like 45
Yeah.
stairs up, and there's a cat nobody knew who it belonged
Y-
to, and the windows didn't quite open because they've been
Yep.
painted over. Like, and we have nostalgia for those days. And I want to be like, hey, but we don't get better if we don't acknowledge the days we're in right now. And
Yeah.
like, do you
It's
see that?
fantastic. Well, it's just I don't know if I see that. I mean, I think we should be just embracing now,
Yeah.
and I think we should just be doing better stuff with our space. Like
Yes.
I mean, like, I mentioned this before. My studio raised $40,000 for the local hospice.
Yeah.
And that was because I was affected by hospice. My mum passed away, but I saw how amazing hospice workers were. And that sent me on a journey of um, getting hospice training, ended up becoming vice president of the Hospice Society on the board for 5 years.
Wow.
But it was important to me. And so,
Yeah.
because it was important to me, when I spoke to my people, my community, they showed up and they
Yeah.
gave, right? And I think if we've got a community studio, we have a space. So I'm not sure about nostalgic, but I feel like we have an opportunity to
Yeah.
do great work in our community. Like one of my mandates was to create community within the studio, but to be part of the community as well. And so, we gave back a lot to the food bank. We did Christmas, every year Christmas candlelight classes where all my teachers donated their time. They taught in twos and threes. We had candles all around the room, and they came with trucks to pick up the food back in the
Yeah.
day, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'd like to see more of that we have, if we have a point of view and we have something important to us,
Yeah.
the owner that took over, that purchased my place, hospice wasn't his thing. So the
Yeah.
events petered out, right?
Yeah.
But if he had said diabetes is my thing, and this is what I'm
Yeah.
passionate about, and did something for that, so when we have a space and we have possibilities, we can create things. Like I had a November um, pre-Christmas shopping day. We invited vendors from the community, and it became a thing. It was shopping day
Yeah,
for
I did that
hospice.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it became a thing. Everybody expected that every November. They came to get their pottery, they came to get their socks, they came to get their jewelry,
Yeah.
right? And it became, and percentage of the sales went to support the charities. And so, and those are also, we did those things not because to give us exposure, but to do good work. But the byproduct is a great reputation and great exposure in your community. So
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong in being known as the studio that gives back, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel like being in the now and forward, we have these opportunities, but there are also different doorways for people to come into your space.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. And I think that that's something that happens more often now than it did. You were on the front end of that sort of service
Yeah,
when you had your studio. I mean, I did something similar. So every year for my birthday, I always did a charity donation thing, and it was
yeah,
for the unhoused folks in our community. And that was
yeah,
just something that had always been a passion of mine, like making
yeah,
sure that those folks had what they needed. And I remember actually the last year that I was the owner of my studio, I asked only for small things because I was like, I don't want to have to like lug 2 trucks full of like toilet paper and, all the other shampoo and conditioner bottles. So I was asking for like toothbrushes and combs and like deodorant and stuff like that.
yeah,
It filled my whole car. They
yeah,
filled my whole car.
yeah.
And I just remember going, like, that's part of what we can be of service in our
I just
community.
got
You don't,
goosebumps. Yeah,
it was
yeah,
incredible. I cried. I was just
yeah,
like, oh my God,
yeah.
these people are incredible. And it just is one of those things that you don't have to discount your services either to
No,
do
no.
good work.
Yeah.
Like
And
there's
can
a
I also
thousand
say
ways to do it.
a lot of people make a mistake by, doing a booking system of $25 or like saying what the amount is. I had a bucket or, a thing on the front desk where they could put cash in envelopes and what have you. We didn't
Yep.
put a price on it.
Yep.
We I made them sign the commitment to come into the class because I told them it was up front. This is a commitment to charity,
Yep.
right? This is important that you show up. And we phoned everybody. You committed to this space, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
But I can tell you, some of those checks that we got in there were $300, $500. Like
Yeah.
if you don't cap people and they have the ability to give, sometimes people really give.
Yeah, we did it. So we even did it with QR codes. So I always, especially if I'm
Ah,
doing like service work, I
yeah,
actually don't really want to touch the money. I want you to be able to
yeah,
digitally transfer it to wherever we're doing
yeah,
it. So it was just a QR code. And then whatever the note that we had for that event was, just put that in the note space, like XX sunlight. So that's
yeah,
what it was, like, or something
yeah,
like that, where just because and people can come and
yeah,
it actually feels like, I think the privacy of donation too is really important. Like
yeah,
you
totally.
don't you
Yep.
don't have to show, this isn't like a charity
Nope. So one
fundraiser or a
person could be
ball.
$5, one person
Yep.
could be $500. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But yeah,
Yeah. Because
yeah,
that's not the point. The money's almost not the point. The point is that we're showing up for each other in our community. Yeah. Can that be our thing for 2026? Like, let's make that our thing. Like,
yeah. Put that into our calendars, make it
yeah.
happen. Look at your 2026 now. I always have my all of my studios. We get together in October
Yeah.
and we plan out all
Plan the
of
year.
2026.
Yeah.
By the way, we don't do that just willy-nilly. We do it based on the data from our booking systems, the reports. Can we talk like
Please. Oh my God.
like
Let's get
not
nerdy
making
about
decisions
data.
not making decisions based on, oh well, this class feels good
Yeah.
because such and such. Okay, did that class make money?
Yeah.
So based on data, especially if you've got historical data, you don't put a sale on in January and September. You put a sale on when your sales are low,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
don't do a challenge when participation time is at its max. We put a we
Yes.
put a we put a bingo on a challenge when it's a shitty
Do it
commitment
in
time.
August. Do it in December.
Spring break.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I never sold so for my studio, I never sold annual memberships except one time a year, and it was always
Please
in
don't.
August.
Yeah.
Like in August, it was just like
Yeah.
our cash run for the year was that I'd have X number of annual memberships. You could buy it then if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But that was just like what we did in August.
Yeah.
Other than that, I
I
never
don't
had
like
them.
those.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're
Can I tell you
tricky.
why? Can I tell
Please.
you why I don't like them? Is because they're a liability to your business, and
They are.
I don't think a lot of studio owners think about their liabilities.
Yeah.
Your liabilities are, listen to this, people. If you have sold 10 class passes, 25 classes, 20 class passes, whatever, and they have not expired and they're in existence,
Yep.
and you sell your business, those get deducted off the price of your business. If
Yeah.
you sold if you sold 10 1-year memberships and they are either the that gets deducted off the price, or I was speaking to somebody this morning, just acquired a business. She's assumed that liability, which means she's purchased this place, and those people on those passes are going to basically come for free for in her new business with this
Yeah.
studio. The other thing I will say, if another COVID thing happens,
I know. I know.
that means you owe that money back to those people.
Yeah.
It's a liability to the business. If you've got people on month to month, then you can pause those. It's not such a liability. So anyway, that's just the other thing is a lot of people will do them for a special sale at a certain time of the year. If you do that, people will wait for that sale.
Sure.
I just bought a landing page, and I knew that company every year did a sale at a certain time of year. I waited a month and a half for the sale to buy that landing page.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
not how
mean,
you want to run your studio.
no, no, it's not. I mean, it's
It's
you're
good cash flow though. It's a good influx.
it's great. It was great for us in August, and also we limited the amount of yearly members that we
Yeah.
did. So I only had X number that I would sell every year, and
Yeah.
we'd always sell them out, and that was really great. But one of the things that I think that you've brought, like this idea, those liabilities, I spoke with somebody actually just a couple days ago. She's not in yoga, but she's in a different wellness industry, right? So
Yeah.
strength training and Pilates and all these other things. And she was telling me she has over $10,000 in time that has already been paid to her. So she has 10K, over 10K in
Wow.
liabilities of money she has already received for time that she has to spend in the
Yeah.
future with these people. And she's
Yeah.
overwhelmed and has kids and a
Yeah.
family, and just she's like, I just don't know what to do, but I owe, so much money in these
Yeah.
passes, these packages that I've sold. And
Yeah.
I'm like, holy smokes, that's a lot. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, that year pass, really that money it should be lasting you throughout the year.
Yeah.
And what happens is, oh, we're a little short this month, so we've got this cash influx. We're going to use this
Yep.
to keep the studio afloat. And yeah,
Yeah.
I see a lot of mistakes on that on retreats and things like that, where
Ooh, say
people are
more.
just not separating that money out from the general cost, this general studio budget,
Yep.
right? And so then when times are tough, that influx of money you've had for retreats, you need to do that to pay payroll or something like that. You should be putting that somewhere different. You should have a marketing budget and an expense budget for
Yes.
that thing. So it's not part of the general coffers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anybody who's going to run
Yeah.
retreats, that's very good advice because I have seen other people
Teacher
do that
trainings.
too. Yeah, that goes in a different bucket.
Yeah.
And then, you can distribute it however you want to once you've settled all your accounts from the retreat or
Yeah.
the teacher
Yeah.
training or whatever, like settle that out separately.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's absolutely 100% true that you've got to like pull that money out.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So one final thing.
Yeah.
What do we want to predict 2026 to be like? What do we want to see for next year?
What do
Even
I
if it's
want?
just like a wish
Just
list.
dreaming. I
Yeah.
would just, yeah. Well, I would like to see yoga studio owners feeling like they're standing on their own two bare feet in the studios, confident.
Mm, yeah.
Right. I feel like not deal with it, but I feel like I help a lot of studio owners feel that way. And so a lot of people are scrambling. And so I would like to see studio owners embracing what they've got, what's their point of view, or their niche, who's their like just knowing who they're for.
Yeah.
I opened one of my top podcast episodes is how to open a studio in 4 months, Newburgh Yogashala, but they're Ashtanga studio in New York. Really clear what you don't have to be an
Yeah.
Ashtanga studio. You can be general, but really clear about what they do, right? And so I feel even if you are a general studio, what's your niche? Who you serving?
Yeah.
Right. That I
Advertise to your super drivers.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like we're in an amazing time for studio ownership. I
Yeah.
really do think that, I see studio owners struggling with leads, because there's a lot of options now for people. And so I just think everybody's gone all in online. And
Yeah.
so I'd like to see a lot of studios being a little bit more community focused and getting back to the grassroots that when they kind of
Yeah.
started and how scrappy they were, and posters and connections and connections in the community. So I just there's just so many opportunities. So I don't know if I can predict this, but I just see there's just possibilities for studio owners. um and if things are not going right, figure it out. Like literally go do detective work, figure it out.
Yeah.
Go back to, who you're serving, talk to the people that are loving you, talk to them, find more of those people,
Yeah.
you know.
Ooh, yeah. Use that idea of if something's not going right, figure it out. I say something similar to my people. I'm always like, a problem is an action. The solution
Yeah.
to a problem is an action. The solution to a problem isn't for you to spiral in your head and tell yourself all these stories about why it's going wrong and maybe so and so said something to this, or you'll get something in your brain about why it's not going right and you spiral a little bit. Problems are action. Like you don't get out of a
Well,
problem by not doing a thing.
and also an easy way to look at a problem is what is the opposite of the problem,
Right. Yeah.
right? That's your answer usually.
Yep. Yeah. It's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of
Okay.
simplified, right? But you know, what what are the problems of your students? Figure that out. Is it
Mhm.
stress?
Yeah.
Talk to that.
Yep.
Is
That's 2026. We're going to be confident and we're going to be problem
confidence,
solvers.
standing on our own bare feet in our
Yeah.
studios, feeling confident about the future and being ahead of the game. Please
Mhm.
stop, like
Yes.
studio owners, stop trying to catch up right now, comparing to what everybody else is doing, and look ahead to your next year. Like right now,
Yeah.
if you haven't got the fall figured out, you should have that figured out. You should have had that figured out in July, June,
Yes.
July,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
At a minimum. But if you can be 8 weeks ahead of everything, I get my studio owners in October. We grab, what have I got one right here? But the big ass calendars.
But my calendar with me
Yeah. Well,
always.
look,
Yeah.
I gotta show. These
Oh,
are
one of the big ones. Yeah, yeah,
I'm a scribbler. Like I'm a digital. Sorry, those are down. I'm all digital, but I
yeah.
start scrappy. I map it out
Same.
and cross out and what have you, and then I go digital, right? And so, but yeah, look at your data, look ahead, and make plans ahead. You know when your
Yeah.
low times are. You know when you're like make plans for next year.
Okay, so if somebody listening wants to join your October planning session or figure out how to get
Yeah,
coaching
yeah,
from
yeah,
you, how do we find
yeah.
you, Michael?
yogabizchamp.com/book is where you can book a free 30-minute chat with me, see if I'm a fit for you.
Yeah,
Usually people come out with some value, even if they don't work with me.
yeah,
I fire
yeah,
pretty quickly. And Yoga Biz Champ podcast. I think that's where you and I jam really well, and
yeah,
it is probably my best free resource, but also Instagram is kind of where I hang out. I would say
yeah,
mostly. I am on TikTok and also YouTube, all under Yoga Biz Champ.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for this conversation. It was so much fun. I mean, not just
Honestly, I
because I
feel
like
like,
talking to you.
yeah, I love talking to you too. Feel like we could go for 3 more hours on this, but
Yes.
so I'm not sure if I answered the state of the yoga studio, but
I feel like you did. I feel
okay,
like you did.
all about community, folks.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this conversation, Michael. Here are our key takeaways. First, small community studios need a point of view. This means that they have a perspective about what kind of yoga they're teaching and how, and knowing whom they're speaking to. It makes marketing so much easier. As I can say, I've got very granular with who my client was, and that really helped me in so many aspects of my business. Next, again, Michael's right. People pay for feelings. If you don't quite have an idea of how that works, I'll use a non-yoga example as an attempt to kind of explain this a little bit. This is something that happened to me recently. If you're a regular listener of the podcast, you know I graduated in May from a small business development course hosted by Babson College and Goldman Sachs. Someone in my cohort was a framer, and I asked him to send me a custom frame for my certificate. Now, I cannot express to you the feeling I had when I opened the very carefully wrapped package and I got to put my certificate in that frame and hang it on the wall. I felt proud of my accomplishments and of the results of my course, and honestly of myself for doing all that work. In fact, I felt so proud that I ordered another frame to be made for a certificate and photo that's of the grand opening of my yoga studio from nearly 7 years ago, because I am paying not only for a frame, but the feeling I had when I opened that package. So we want to think about that, but yoga. That's what we need to focus on. Next, we desperately need to rethink our service work. Oftentimes we're choosing to offer services for free as like our seva or service work, or offer discounts too widely. And that isn't really helping because remember, drowning people can't save anyone. And if you're giving away so much that you can't hire new teachers to teach extra classes when you need it, there's something in your system that needs adjusting. There are so many amazing ways that studios can be of service without sacrificing their bottom line in the process. Next, COVID fast-tracked our tech development. Michael's the first person I've heard frame it that way, and he's totally correct. Now, we would have developed a lot of the tech that we use, like online classes and slick business automations eventually, but COVID helped us move forward in that direction really quickly out of necessity, and I, for one, am honestly pretty grateful for it. Next, that is our 2026 thing, giving back to our community. Let's make this a trend. We can host events that are one night only. We can collect donations. We can make studio service nights where we get together and do work in our communities, like picking up trash or supporting a food bank. There's 1,000 ways that we can give back. Can we just make that our industry thing, that nobody gives back like yoga people do? Next, Data. Okay, I get very excited when people talk to me about data and using data as decision-making tools. I have been recently on a roll thinking about how data is collected and distributed in the yoga space, and Michael's right again. Especially in our businesses, it's so important that we use our real-time data to make decisions because vibes are not enough. And finally, we want business confidence in 2026. I have to say, I want this very much for our industry. Let's let go of that weird tension we have between being truly true yoga and running our businesses. The two things can coexist, oftentimes in beautiful ways. We don't need to let go of the yoga in order to be business owners. We need to shift our perspective so that the yoga informs our relationship with our businesses and ourselves. Okay, next week on the podcast, I'm going to talk to you about new beginnings and new projects. Until then, let's go get to work, my friends. I am eternally grateful that you chose to listen to and spend your time with me. I will catch you around the water cooler next time.